Tell me how will I ever learn to love again? Tell me how will I ever learn?
Hey, what's up, boys? I'm here with my boy R Recruit. We're gonna go over the update.
What up, boys? What up, boys? Yeah, so we're just gonna do a quick little rundown of the update here. As I'm sure everyone knows, there was a update on Spawnpk yesterday. So we're just gonna talk about the big changes and the new things that were added, and yeah, let's get it going. First off, we have the new fused pets that were finally released. So pet fusions obviously is a fuse of two different pets. So the first one that we have showcased on the update page is the scope sight Vasa pet. Essentially, it is a mix of the Vasa as well as the Blood Phoenix pet. So for those who don't know, Vasa is mainly a mage pet. Blood Phoenix is a range pet. Combined together, they have both range and mage damage. In my opinion, very good for PvP, especially if you're an HE. Next, we have the Riftwalker Corp pet. Also a very good pet. In my opinion, it's probably one of the best PVM pets out there right now. Essentially, for this, you need 2 Ultimate Rift Guardian pets and 25 Corps. What it does, it increases your accuracy for melee damage by 10%. And it does also grant you a 20% overall damage boost and accuracy boost when you're PVM. Also gives you 15% drop rate and a 5% chance of doubling your rare drops, which is a very good pet in my opinion. Once again, I believe this is probably one of the strongest PVM pets out there right now. Now, next pet fuse we have is the Veery Fairy. As I'm sure all of you know, if you used to play Spawnpk, this is just a classic pet, basically a Yoshi and a fairy combined. What it does, grants you drop rate, and it automatically banks your loot whenever you kill a minion. Very good pet. So next we do also have another fused pet, if you want to consider it a fused pet. However, this pet can be found in the enchantment chest under Grand Easterworm pet. Now all it does, it is just an added effect. Instead of ignoring 25% of your enemy's defense, it ignores 33% and also gives you a extra 2.5% boost in your strength. Now moving on, we do have a new mini event that was released as well with the update, which is the Essence of Wonder event. Essentially what this does is provides you with an option to get Essence of Wonder. Now, as you can see here, you can see that I'm speaking to an NPC in regards to the Essence of Wonder. Now, what you want to do when you do log in, if you want a chance at getting Essence of Wonder when opening donator boxes or donator chests, you speak to this NPC here. As you can see in the chat box, it does say that you will have a 50% chance to get Wondrous Essence instead of Mystery Shards. So in order to activate this, you would just click here to continue, and you will enable it. Okay. If ever you want to disable it because you prefer having Mystery Shards, you would just speak to the NPC again, and you'll have the option to disable it. Basically, what the Essence of Wonder does, I will just pull some out of the bank very quickly just to show you what it does. So once you have enough Essence of Wonder, you can click on them. You will have 3 options to select from, one being a gold gift box, another grand gift box, and a wondrous reward box. Obviously, if you're me, you want to go for the big guns, so wondrous reward box is probably your best bet. However, you do also have the option of selling the Essence of Wonder into TP. Now, moving on, we do have a new hotspot zone that was released alongside the update, which is the Deep Singles hotspot. I'm not going to talk too much about it because it is similar to Deep Wild. However, it just kind of gives incentive to 1v1 single zones, if you want to say that. So it kind of pushes people to PK as solo PKers instead of with your clan. So it is a good update. I find I did like it. However, in my opinion, it is very, very similar to Deep Wild. So I'm not too big of a fan of it just because I'm not an NHer. I usually just PK in Edgeville. But I could see why this could be a good update for NHers. People who like to 1v1 in the wilderness. Now, some other improvements that we did receive. Pure Zone did get a decent buff. So as you can see here, before the update, you were only getting 1 pure point per kill. However, now they added an extra 3 points per kill. So instead of getting 1, you would get 3. This does stack with the book. As you can see at the bottom, if I hover over it here, it provides you a 10% chance of doubling the points you get from pure kills. And it gives you 1 point extra whenever pure zone is the hotspot. Essentially what that means, if you get 1 kill, instead of getting 3 points, you would get 6 if it procs. Sorry, so in order to buy that book, however, you do have to purchase every single one of the god books prior to being able to purchase the book at the end. So definitely save up your points for that if you do like to pure PK. So Edgeville also received a hotspot reward update. So as you can see here in the update log, it says you now have a 25% chance for Edge PK rating rewards to be doubled. So what that means is, as you can see here, all of the rewards that you have access to based on your elo can be doubled. It has a 25% chance of being doubled every time you get a kill, which is a very good addition in my opinion. And they did also increase the amount of blood money you get from kills. Moving on, we do also have some glorious wild casket buffs. Now, if you don't know what those are, you would just speak to the hotspot point shop right here. And you'll see a scroll at the very top right of the screen. So that is how you get access to getting glorious caskets. What glorious caskets do, it gives you a bunch of different rewards that you can get. So if I go into the collection log, you'll go under boxes and select the glorious wild caskets there in the middle. So these are the rewards that you can get from opening the glorious wild casket. Now, the update that they did, they added an extra, they increased the rate at what you would get the glorious casket from, especially if you're PKing with a cursed orb and you have a Grand Falcon as well. They did also add an extra roll on the glorious casket. So what that means is you will also get an extra roll to get a blood casket as well as a blood key whenever you open a glorious casket, on top of the base reward that you would get. Very good update once again in my opinion. Now, Hotspot Point Shop also received a little update here. So if you speak to the Hotspot Point Shop, you'll go down to weekly and you'll notice a few different things if you do PK often. So hotspot point scrolls, before we only used to be able to purchase 5 a week, we can now purchase 25. They did increase the price by 5, however. The grand gift boxes have also been increased. Instead of being able to purchase 2, you can now purchase 5. And they did also add in some bonds that you can purchase with hotspot points. A very good addition once again in my opinion. Now moving on, the cursed bounty shop did also receive a little buff, I would say. So you would just speak to the bounty hunter here and you will see that there are some different prices on certain items. The main items being Inquisitor, which were dropped by 10 mil per piece. The Nightmare Orbs also received a little buff. They were reduced in price by 15 mil each. So that's a very good cash grab if you do like the Cursed Bounty Hunter PK. Those are very good sellables. They sell instantly in my opinion. The Cursed Bounty Shop did also receive a buff as well in the weekly section. So before, if you did PK often, you would notice that the Cursed Totems, you only used to be able to purchase 5 of them. You can now purchase 10. Price stayed the same. The Pet Fuse box also got reduced from 500 mil points to 400 mil points. Kind of giving you an incentive to go for it if you're feeling lucky. Now, blood money improvements, I'm not going to talk too much about that because it is very basic, but essentially what it means is every time you kill a player, you are now guaranteed 25 blood money per kill. However, that blood money is dropped to the floor. You do also get increased blood money based on the kill if you are risking up to 100 blood money. So what that means is if you're risking 100 blood money when killing a player, you get 38 blood money flat. So if you walk over to the blood money shop over here, all the way at the far left, you will notice that there is a new tab, the weekly tab. What this is, every week you can purchase a certain amount of items for blood money. Starting from the left, you have your prize tickets, you have your gold gift box, your hard PK task bottles, elite PK task bottles, grand crests, scroll of fortuities, mystery tickets, and wanderer reroll scroll. all great additions in my opinion. It's a very, very good update, and for that, I really like it. Moving on, we do have a new crest bearer set. So I'll discuss this very quickly. You can go into the Grand Crest section here on the collection log, and you'll notice that there isn't just a melee set, but there is now a range set. So you've got the crest bearer hides, you've got the crest bearer hide body, and you've got the hide coif. Essentially what they do is the exact same thing that the crest bearer melee set does. It provides you with a little bonus there. If I hover over it, it'll show you what it does. So 10% range damage bonus in PVM, gives an additional 45% damage and accuracy boost in PVM when the set is fully worn, which is fucking crazy in my opinion. Very, very big damage boost. Now, you do also have access, for those of you who are wondering, where's the mage set for that? So if you head over to the enchanting chest here, and you go down to miscellaneous, you will notice all the way at the bottom, there's a crest cloth, which requires 15 grand crests as well as 5 blood chanting stones. What you would do with the cloth, once you do enchant it, you can use the cloth on a piece of ancestral as the cloth describes if you hover over it. And then it turns into crest bearer robes, which are the mage set of crest bearers. Okay. Now, while we're on the topic of gear, they did also add the new oath plate armor. This can be accessible via the armor section in the enchantment chest, which requires you to use 10 stadius pieces for each piece, as well as inferno plates. How do you get inferno plates, you ask? You get them through the grand crests. Not a bad gear in my opinion. It is very good for pking. It raises your melee hit cap by 3 when you're wearing the full set. However, it is very squishy in my opinion, so I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, moving on. We do have some improvements in the Well of Goodwill. So if you head over to the Well of Goodwill here and you look at the shop that you can, the shop. So you right click the well here. You'll notice that there are some new items. The reason there are new items, I guess they decided to add a collection log for the Well of Goodwill shop. So if you head over to the collection logs here and you go to other, all the way at the bottom there will be Well of Goodwill. So once you finish the log, you can get lucky and get a grand promo as well as a pet fuse. So this is a good addition as well. It kind of incentivizes people to contribute to the well. So it's a very good idea in my opinion. Now, moving on, there were some changes done on the Tormented Demon weapons. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the other weapons that were updated just because I personally don't see much of them. But the Tormented Demon weapons, Emberlight Eye no longer requires a defense level to equip it. So now if you decide to go into the wilderness to fight some Tormented Demons, you do not need to go in as a maxed PK or a player, You can just go in as a pure to avoid people from hitting you. Unless they come in as a pure, then you're kind of cooked. Scorching Bow, Emberlight, and Burning Claws special attack will no longer apply a burn in PvP if you hit a 0. Also a very, very good update in my opinion. I find that was very unfair for them to constantly hit you a 1 even though they hit 0s. It's not how it should work. I'm glad they fixed that. Moving on to that, they did change Deep Wildy a bit in regards to the DHing, which there are a lot of people that decide to go DH bombing in Deep Wilderness, which is a very good strategy in my opinion. However, what they did with that is if you do decide to DH bomb, the DH proc, so the ability to hit 90s or 100s, will not take effect until 10 seconds have passed in combat with your opponent. So just be mindful of that when you're trying to go DH bomb. It does not work anymore. Now, Bloodslayer pking improvements. I'm sure a lot of people were happy when they saw this. So if you head over to the Bloodslayer master here, you'll notice that there was a slight change with the slaughter task. So if you just get a task right here, click slaughter, you'll notice that the amount of blood money you receive, or the Bloodslayer points you receive, is 35 plus. Okay? They did increase the timer from 10 minutes to 20 minutes. Reason being is because they added a flat rate of 5 Bloodslayer points per kill during that 20 minutes. Okay? They did also increase the rates that you would get Laren keys from. So instead of them being 1 in 8, you would get them every 1 in 5 kills. That's for the Bounty Hunter task. If you're doing Blood Slaughter tasks, the Laren key rate went from 1 in 16 to 1 in 8, which is also a very good buff. Now, a lot of you have probably noticed that there are certain bosses in the wilderness that have been updated. the most famous ones in my opinion being the wildy worm. A lot of bosses were changed. They used to be solo bosses, but they have now become global bosses. What that means is everyone can attack them, and it requires a certain amount of damage to be done in order to get a drop. So Corporal Beast is now a multi-boss, Seracnus is now a multi-boss, Wildy Worm is a multi-boss as well as Bloodworm, and Bork is also a multi-boss. Now, there are some catches with this. Bloodworm and Wildy Worm will only drop the Bloodmancer Pendant. Sorry, this is only for the Bloodworm, my apologies. It will only drop the Bloodmancer Pendant to the highest damage dealer. So what that means is it doesn't guarantee it, obviously, but the only person that will get a roll at the Bloodmancer Pendant will be the person that does the most damage. Now, similar to that, the Bork has the same option. However, this applies to the baby Bork pet. Only the highest damage dealer will get a chance at a roll to get that drop. Now, moving on, there are some quality of life changes. So if I type in search a drop, type in Fang, you'll see here if I select any option, you'll notice that there are some boosted rates underneath the rare rates. So what that is essentially showing your specific rate for that specific item. I really like this update. I think it's very helpful, as well as just again, quality of life. I completely agree with it. It is definitely a good addition to have. Moving on, we do also have a new update with the bank. So I'm sure a lot of you noticed when you logged in and you looked at your bank, you have a little option at the top right here, shows you the estimated value of your bank. Sui's a little broke, I apologize. But other than that, I mean, it's a great addition to have. I mean, 07's had this for so long, so it was only a matter of time before Spawnpk added it up. Now, loot key update. They did also add in the option to build a loot key chest in your POH if you prefer to have that. If you don't know what that is, it's essentially when you get a kill, if you have loot keys toggled on, you'll have a little chest here that you can come claim the loot from. You can now build that in your POH. Not sure what it costs. Don't really think it's an amazing update, but I see why it could be good to some other people. I personally don't really like it. Now, moving on, we do have some Hunllef and Nex updates. These updates were pretty massive. I think a lot of people probably noticed, but when you go and click on the shards, so for Hunllef, you got crystal shards. For Nex, you got the Nihil shards. So for the crystal shards, it costs you 250 crystal shards to enchant a Bofa, and 5,000 crystal shards to enchant a Blade of Saldor Eye. Now, there are also the same kind of things for the Nihil shards. So 20 shards will get you a mystery chest untradeable, 25 shards will get you a prize key untradeable, and 100 shards will grant you a roll at a random Nex piece. So that applies to Virtus, Pernix, and Torva. Now, moving on, repair costs were increased, unfortunately. A lot of people, I guess, have been complaining. So just a quick rundown from this. Cursed armor pieces went from being 1 bill to repair to 3 bill. Torture, Tormented, Anguish, Occult, all of that went from 500 mil to 1 bill. A Bloodslayer top and bottom went from 1 bill to 3 bill. Enchanted gloves, the regular ones, 1 bill to 3 bill. The imbued version of the gloves and boots, 2 bill to 7.5 bill. Wanderer amulet and ring, 2 bill to from 1 bill to 2 bill. If you're skulled with them, it's from 2 bill to 4 bill, and so on and so forth. I don't really like those changes, but that's just my personal opinion. Now, other than that, the rest of the update, there are a lot of changes that I'm not going to go over because they are very, very long, and it's just a lot of information. The video would take maybe 30 minutes for me to just go over all of them, so I won't do that. I won't take too much more of your time. However, if you are keen on looking as to what the update was about, you can just go into the forums and check the most recent update log. Scroll all the way to the bottom and you'll see the hotfix changes that they made for Wanderer tasks, as well as just the miscellaneous changes that they did. One thing that I will say, I do highly recommend you check out the Wanderer Merchant changelog, because it is very important to know what has been added to the Wanderer tasks and what has been removed. This way you know if you should keep certain items or if you should just get rid of them. Okay, so that's it for me. That was the update. Overall, I loved it. It was an amazing update in my opinion. There are some things I wish could be different, but that's not for me to say. Obviously, certain people think differently. That's just how it is with every game. So that was it from me. Once again, I'm AW Recruit. This was Sui as well, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day.
Peace.